My dear friends, I think all of you heard of Michelangelo. Michelangelo sculpted the world's greatest masterpiece called David from a piece of marble stone that Italian sculptor Agostino di Antonio rejected. Think about rejection in your life. You may be unpleasantly labeled, compartmentalized, falsely accused, or even written off by others. But God looks at your inner self, and He holds no labels or a gavel in His hand to judge you as we mortals often do. You may be misjudged by the standards of the world, but God's yardstick is different, my friends, very different. The world looks for worthiness, but God looks for willingness. So do not be discouraged when people write you off because of your failures and weaknesses, or when people misread you or give all kind of calumny and slander about you to others. Pay no heed to them. God opens the gates of grace for you even when the world slams its doors against you. Look at the scriptures. Moses had a speech impediment but was chosen to lead the Israelites from slavery. Gideon had low self-confidence and was fearful, but God empowered him and made him victorious in war. Jeremiah the prophet felt too young to do a prophet's job, but God empowered him with courage and confidence. And Jonah the prophet had escapist tendencies, trying to avoid what God wanted him to do, but God chose him to bring the people of Nineveh to repentance. Think about the apostles whom Jesus chose. They were by no means of acceptable standards to be apostles. Peter was impulsive by nature. James and John were called sons of thunder because they were aggressive and quick-tempered. Matthew, the tax collector, was the most hated of all because of his profession. The scriptures, my friends, are replete with people who were chosen by God despite their frailties and weaknesses. St. Paul reminds us in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 26 to 29. He reminds us of how God chooses the weak and makes them strong. And I quote for you, "Think of what you were when you were called. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were influential. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. He chose the lowly things of this world and the despised things and the things that are not, to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before Him." First letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 26 to 29. My friends, the power above us is far, far greater than all the seats of power around us. Yes, the power above us is far, far greater than all the seats of power around us. The scribes and Pharisees, who were so frequently judgmental, considered themselves more learned and wise than the simple fisherfolk and farmers and herdsmen of Jesus' time. But, interestingly, they could not grasp simple truths that these ordinary people could grasp, because they did not focus on the power above. Jesus even commented, we find this reference in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 11 verse 25, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children." When the renowned violinist Niccolo Paganini was playing his violin at a public concert, the strings snapped one by one till there was only one string left. The audience giggled, but to their amazement, Niccolo Paganini continued to render the finest tunes on that one single string that remained on his instrument. My friends, God can play His finest tunes through each of us, despite our weakness and frailties, if only and only we could allow ourselves completely into His hands, not relying on our own strengths, but only strength that comes from above. May this God of all strength, of all encouragement, of all hope be yours. Have a good and godly day.